Yo, what's poppin'? Gotta get that light going. Yo, what's good, what's good? You know, we gotta get y'all time. Slide through here a little bit. Oh, you kinda was. Ironically. Is that too low? That's a little too low. Is it? Nah, kinda like that. You feel me? But, what's good? If this end up making it to the Fat Boy Lacy Live channel, which I honestly don't think it will. What's good over there? We're reacting to ErikTheElectric. I ate the biggest foods on the internet for 10 days. What? Eric likes his new style of video. I don't. I miss the every week upload. Now, bro, upload every 2-3 months. One big ass challenge. It's like, you could have cut this up like 4-5 different videos, fam. I'd rather you drop it like that. I don't care if you're gonna do it for 2 days at least. Y'all get what I'm saying. Let's get into this reaction, man. Let me get chat up and rolling. Alright, we got chat up and rolling. Let's get into it.
Strung out on an opiate of some kind like fentanyl or heroin, and you desperately want to take your life back, but you have no idea where to go or what to do, and maybe you can't leave work.
I just ordered the 10 biggest foods on earth, and my goal is to finish all of them by the end of the next 10 days. Why 10 days? With how massive these foods are, let's just say I'm gonna need all the time I can get.
I'm so ready for this challenge to be over.
Starting with the Zeus burger, which is a burger so big that it feeds up to 14 people. This 10-day food challenge is only complete if I can follow these rules. Rule number 1, I have to finish whatever food I get the day it shows up at my doorstep. Which is really gonna be interesting because I have no idea when any of them are gonna be arriving. Rule number 2 is where it's gonna get really interesting. Because if it's midnight and I still have food left over, not only will I have leftovers to eat the next day, but the next giant food that shows up is gonna be close to impossible for me to finish. Why? Because I'm gonna be letting my followers choose. I'll have to let my followers choose 4 random foods for me to eat with the next item that shows up. And if there's any group of people out there that love seeing me stuff my face with more food, it's my followers. This challenge is only complete if all 10 foods I ordered are finished by the end of the 10th day. I cannot believe I forgot. In a rush to get ready for this massive challenge, I realized I forgot an essential item. And then shortly after that, I realized I forgot 2 essential items. Yeah, I'm probably gonna need the Ultra Strong this week. Considering the foods I was about to eat in this challenge, the statement couldn't have been any more true. Good to go. Don't get me wrong, this was a really good burger. But it was even better with some ranch on top. I got back into the last half of the burger and was making solid progress. And then it was finally time to eat the healthiest part of the burger. To all the vegans that are watching, I dedicate this to you. Unfortunately, the patty was a bit tougher than I would have liked, which meant my jaws were taking more of a beating than my stomach, and that's saying something. Each bite of this burger was getting harder and harder.
I feel like I just ran a marathon.
With just a quarter of the bun left, I knew there was only one way I was going to be able to make it through the rest of this chewy bread.
It's like a football piece of bread right here. Jeez.
I got some hot water to help soften up the bun.
I'm gonna need some additional H2O for this.
And of course, I added some more of the good stuff.
It's good, all right? It's better than good. It's exceptional.
And only a few minutes later, there was just a couple bites left.
I feel like whatever I just did is probably illegal in all 50 states and most likely many countries. That was a salty burger.
I went to bed that night, comfortably full. Little did I know that things were about to get sweet. Maybe a little too sweet.
All right, day 2.
This is a giant cookie. That's like
Dude, this is so epic. It's like as big as my head.
Item number 2, the T-Rex cookie. A cookie that's 57 times bigger than a regular cookie. With how much salt I'd eaten the day before, the first bite of this cookie was magical. While the cookie wasn't warm on the inside, the perfectly chewy texture was making my taste buds very happy. This cookie was so good that I actually felt like I was having an out-of-body experience for a few seconds. With how big of a cookie I'm eating, I know there's going to be a lot of questions down below in the comments. So I made sure to clarify one very important thing. For all of you keeping score at home, there's approximately 5,550 grams of sugar in this cookie. I actually just made that last part up. I have no idea how much sugar is in this cookie. Unfortunately, after I got halfway through the cookie, the richness of all the chocolate definitely caught up with me.
Goodness gracious.
All I can say is that this milk was a lifesaver. Everyone needs to comment down below right now. What is your optimal dunking time? Personally, I think it's better to leave it in as long as possible.
I'm more like a 3-4 dunker.
Forget I just said that. Even though I had enough cookie inside of me to legally be called a bakery, I was finally almost done. I feel like this wasn't just a cookie, this was a life choice. Whether it was a good one or a poor one, I'll let you be the judge. T-Rex cookie is down. That was a very delicious cookie. Delicious, but also very sweet. In fact, I feel like I'm one step away from a serious sugar rush.
Oh, there's the sugar rush. Yep.
After all that milk, my stomach wasn't feeling the greatest. So I hit the store for some lactate to get some much needed relief. But relief was the last thing I was about to experience. After my girlfriend Christy informed me that I had a package waiting for me at home, I wanted to know what I was in for. So I asked her to send me a photo of the box.
Webster on store.
After a few short seconds, it finally hit me. I knew exactly what was waiting for me at home.
It's gonna be a big one.
As I picked up some items that I hoped would help me take down the next food, I realized that with only a few hours left until midnight and another massive food to eat, I was running into the first major problem this week, because packages can get delivered at any time. But the later in the day they showed up, the more difficult this challenge was going to be. Everyone, I genuinely don't know if I'm going to make it through this week. In fact, I may actually be kicking the bucket of Nutella somewhere. That probably made absolutely no sense, but I just needed to transition. Item number 3, the Nutella bucket. A Nutella container so massive that it's over 10 times bigger than a regular jar of Nutella. Oh my God. This is not gonna end well. Just in case you haven't noticed, I have some covers on the plates on my table. What's underneath those covers are the only things that I could think of that could possibly get me through something like this. And if they can't, I am in some serious trouble. I'm gonna warn you all right now, trying to eat 6.6 pounds of Nutella is the second most reckless thing I've ever done. What's the most reckless? Well, you'll find out later on in the video. Cheers.
I just couldn't, bro.
It tastes like Nutella.
Believe it or not, I actually had the stomach space to take down this Nutella.
Oh, rich.
But the biggest thing keeping me from finishing this wasn't my stomach. It was my taste buds.
Saltiness.
But as long as I could manage the flavor fatigue, I was confident I could take this thing down. Ritz crackers, Nutella, absolutely marvelous you all, but I felt it very necessary for this.
That's why. That will make more sense, right?
What? I needed to get some fruit in.
That was actually a good
Halfway through the strawberries, I immediately realized they were a terrible decision. Not only was the added sweetness making the flavor fatigue worse, but the extra weight from the strawberries filled me up a bit too much.
I gotta be honest, everyone, I am not doing so well right now. I feel exceptionally horrible, like even more so than usual. For whatever reason, I thought this would be a great addition to this meal, which now seems to be not that great of an addition.
For some reason, I thought the bread would be a lot saltier. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't.
Oh, dude, this is so bad. I can't believe I'm actually physically subjecting my pancreas to this.
So I decided to take matters into my own hands.
Fun fact, there once was a massive jar of Nutella you could buy online, and I had always wanted to do that as a challenge, up until now.
After decorating the remaining bread with more Nutella and some salt, I finished off the plate of bread. But if I was gonna make it through this bucket, I had to give my stomach a break.
Everyone, it looks like I have roughly 50% left. I don't even know, but I gotta figure something out because as of right now, I completely am not going to be doing this. This is rough. This is horrible.
After attaching myself to my couch for the next hour or so, I realized I was in big trouble.
If you hate constantly being swarmed by ads, you need to download Pi. It's a free Chrome extension that blocks ads on all your favorite.
One video a week, rather than just giving it all to us at once.
Because not only were the items I bought earlier not salty enough, but I didn't have anything salty enough in my house either, or so I thought. My new strategy was to use the salty pretzel rods to get down the Nutella. But with less than an hour and a half left,
My blood type is now Nutella.
I began to realize that was going to be close to impossible. And as each sugary bite grew more and more intense, I realized I was going to need a new plan.
Everyone, I have roughly 35%, possibly 30% of the bucket still left.
Yep, definitely regretting buying the Nutella now. With how much Nutella was left and how horrible I felt and looked, I was preparing for my first loss until I came up with one of the wisest and most clever ideas in the history of all eating challenges.
Clearly, I'm a culinary genius. There we go, everybody, so you can all see it's the same amount.
And as I'm sure you can probably expect, the extra salt did absolutely nothing.
So delirious right now.
I was obviously out of ideas, but with less than 10 minutes left, I was gonna give this last bit of Nutella everything I had. But after seeing I was out of Ritz crackers and realizing I was gonna have to go in raw, ultimately I realized there was no way that could happen, so I took my first loss.
I have to say it, I'd rather take the loss. So I'm throwing in the white paper towel and hoping that whatever shows up next is on the smaller end of giant, because it's gonna have 4 additional things added to it, all determined by my followers.
As the clock struck midnight, there was just one last thing I had to do.
But I am curious about one more thing. So it looks like I have 1,068 grams of Nutella left to finish tomorrow as well.
The first loss of the week meant I was gonna have to finish a little less than 6,000 calories of Nutella, whatever giant food showed up next, along with 4 random foods before midnight tomorrow, or else I'd be faced with another loss, which would put me in the exact same position all over again. I went to bed that night not feeling very hopeful.
So did you finish the Nutella?
I didn't. But imagine if I woke up tomorrow and it was just gone. Wouldn't that be a miracle?
Yeah, but it's still gonna be there.
Nope, very much still there. All right, I did not hear the doorbell ring this morning, so maybe
Nope, it's right there waiting for you.
no packages. Well, hey, maybe today's the day my stomach finally gets a break. Never mind.
What's that? It's like a cake or something.
Holy shit.
Item number 4, O Bagel's Jumbo Bagel. A bagel so big that it's over 25 times bigger than a regular bagel. And to go with this massive bagel, I have to eat 4 additional things, all chosen by my followers. Just got the world's biggest bagel. What should I add to it? All right, now that that's done, I'm gonna wait a little bit and then we'll come back and see what I gotta eat with this.
It's time for the moment of truth.
How this is gonna work is I'm gonna close my eyes and whatever my finger lands on is what I have to eat. Okay, a perfectly normal thing to eat with a bagel, just maybe not 12 of them. Okay, another thing to eat with the bagel. Okay, good again. Oh no, no, no!
An entire jar of one of the most vile things on earth. Seems like I'm in a bit of a pickle. That was a really bad joke. What can I say? When I'm in unfavorable situations, I usually like to use humor to lighten the mood.
After seeing the 4 additional items I had to eat, I decided the most logical thing to do would be to combine most of them. And just as I was on my way out, I noticed this box of Twinkies and I couldn't help but rewind to the moment that set this whole challenge in motion. Meet Harry, my only non-American friend. You'll see why this is important shortly. Back in 2020 when I was training for my first Ironman, Harry emailed me out of the blue saying he wanted to send me some running shoes and bike gear because he loved watching my eating challenges. Fast forward to 2023, Harry came to America for the first time and we finally met in person for the first time. I wanted to treat him to something iconic, something unmistakably American. So naturally, I bought him a box of Twinkies. But one bite later, I knew I'd messed up. Harry left and went back to Australia, and ever since that day, I felt like the worst friend in the world. So a few weeks ago when Harry texted me saying he was coming back to the States, I got really excited, until he told me he wanted to do a food challenge. I hate disappointing my friends, so I told him I'd find him one. There was just one problem. I had no idea what I was gonna get for him. So I dove headfirst down an internet rabbit hole, and after stumbling upon an article called The Best Giant Foods You Can Buy Online, there was only one thing left for me to do. I bought all of them and made it my duty to eat all of them. Because let's be real, when it's your friend's first food challenge and you want to get them the best of the best, a little taste test just won't cut it. The only problem was I got locked out of my email I used to order all of them. So I had no idea when each thing was going to be arriving. What I did know was that Harry was going to be arriving in exactly 3 weeks. And the last thing I was going to do was disappoint my friend for the second time. Anyways, I wasn't very excited about the pickles. I was really excited to film this really cool cinematic shot of me putting on this apron though. My plan was to make the world's biggest breakfast bagel. As I got the eggs started, I was just hoping I wouldn't overcook them like I always do. Apollo was also willing to step in and help out with this meal, but that would be against the rules. Sorry, dude. And after only a few more minutes of assembling, it was finally time to do battle against this massive bagel.
Talk about a well-rounded breakfast.
That's valid.
All of my shows got canceled, and I'm definitely one of those artists that relies a lot of for touring.
The most difficult part of this challenge was without a doubt going to be the dense doughiness of the bagel. But the extra salt from the eggs and the bacon was very much needed.
Everyone, so far, this is tasting amazing. I'm just so happy that this is not... Yeah, I'll deal with that later. Whew. Guys, this is like bringing back memories of the burger I ate a few days ago.
I knew eventually the bagel was going to hit my stomach harder than a 2 a.m. Taco Bell run, so I did my best to enjoy it as much as possible while I could.
I want you all to comment down below right now what your favorite bagel is. A lot of people like plain bagels. A lot of people like everything bagels. Me personally, I'm team cinnamon raisin. This is still good too.
After I got to the halfway point, I was incredibly surprised that my stomach wasn't doing all that bad, so I decided to carry on.
This is how I cut carbs.
But unfortunately, a few bites later,
This bagel is so big and fluffy.
the bagel caught up with me.
Which is pretty much gonna be me after this is over. Well, everyone, both my stomach and my intuition are telling me kind of chill out right now because this bagel is very dense. It's a lot denser than I thought. Plus, I have those pickles and the rest of the Nutella to finish before midnight, or else whatever I get next has to get more stuff added to it.
After walking off roughly 100 calories out of the 10,000 I had just eaten, oh god, I fell asleep on the couch for a little while. After waking up and realizing how full I still was, I knew that considering I had the rest of the Nutella bucket left, along with half the bagel, I was gonna need a strategy. So I decided to bring out the warm water. Liquid is crucial in food challenges because it can soften up hard food items and make them easier to digest, and this bagel was a perfect candidate. I decided to shift my focus to the remaining ham and eggs and save the bagel for last. But after I started on them, I knew I had to get the pickles out of the way as soon as possible.
Just gotta do it. If you guys are still with the flow of the video, drop a pickle emoji down below because I'm about to subject myself to pickles.
As I expected, this was horrible, but thankfully, I had something on hand to reawaken my taste buds.
It's time to cleanse that disgustingness out of my mouth with some wow sauce.
Even though my signature wow sauce does make every meal a memorable one, the fact that I was still eating one of my least favorite foods on earth was kind of a downer.
Rizzler3638, I hate you.
But shockingly, I was able to not just finish off the rest of the ham, eggs, and bacon, but the pickles as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in my entire life, I can actually say that I've eaten a jar of pickles. This is the only time in my life I ever want to say I've done that.
But now it was time for the hardest part, the dense, doughy bagel.
I'm gonna warn you all right now, what you're about to witness is not gonna be pretty, but food challenges aren't always glamorous.
The water from earlier was meant specifically for one reason, dunking. At this point, my taste buds were completely non-operational, so that being said,
Oh man, this bagel is so dense.
my only focus was to finish this bagel by any means necessary.
Well, I'm just eating slower and slower and slower.
Not only was my speed slowing down, but my brain was as well.
This bagel is literally something that's, yeah, it's really big. I can't even think anymore. I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know where I am. Well, everybody, I have made it through 25%, if not more, of the bagel. About 9:40 right now, which means I have a little bit over 2 hours to get this down, along with the leftover Nutella. What I'm gonna do is lay on the couch like a beached whale.
At this point, I was beyond full, and when I say that, I mean it.
I feel like I'm 37 months pregnant. My goodness. That is a bread baby like no other.
And to make things worse, I still hadn't emotionally recovered from the Nutella that I ate the night before. I spent the next 20 minutes trying to convince myself to sit down and eat, but with no strategy, I just couldn't do it. I finally thought of something, and I just hoped it was gonna work.
1068 grams.
I figured since dunking the bagel in water would help soften it up, I could use milk instead and finish the leftover Nutella.
Go big or go home.
And as I took my first bite, I realized it was actually working better than I thought it would.
Yeah. Okay.
But with less than 10 minutes left, I was gonna have to put the pedal to the metal.
Oh my gosh. Whew.
While finishing the bagel was the goal from the very beginning,
Just like that, everybody, the bagel is down. The only thing that remains is friggin' Nutella.
I now had to eat the one thing I feared the most, straight up Nutella.
Oh, this is gonna be rough, but like 6 minutes left.
This spoonful of Nutella hit my taste buds like it was a spoonful of wasabi. But with only a few bites left, I was almost done with the bucket.
This is so sweet.
The fact that he can even.
I don't even know if I'm still in the same dimension anymore.
And even with the odds stacked against me, I managed to finish off the Nutella and get the win.
I'm calling that done, everybody. With less than 2 minutes to spare, this challenge is complete. Oh my sweet goodness. I'm never gonna look at Nutella the same after this.
Hey, they got Nutella everywhere.
The next day, I woke up after the worst night of sleep I've had in a long time, and also with a really bad stomachache.
Oh, man. I really hope there's nothing on my doorstep today.
Look, there's
For the rest of the morning, I sat at the counter reminiscing on all the poor dietary choices I'd made over the last 4 days. Around 2 or 3 p.m., the thought occurred to me that not all delivery guys ring the doorbell, and that there may be a package on the porch, so I reluctantly went back to check. As I'm sure you can imagine, my taste buds were pretty confused at this point. And you might be confused as well if I were to tell you that I was currently on my way to McDonald's.
Yes.
But for something you might not expect.
Hi, can I get one medium Diet Nectar of the Gods?
For some reason, the crispiness of the Diet Coke was what I needed more than anything.
All I can say is I'm looking forward to finally having some energy today.
After my nap, I decided to check the porch again a few hours later.
Alright, I'm gonna go back.
Maybe you've seen them in schools and the community. You may have seen them talking and laughing and coaching and supporting. But when you see them,
I forgot I ordered extra. Charmin, if you're watching, I love your products.
Oh, he got lucky that day.
I went to bed that night getting the much needed stomach break that I was looking for. But what showed up at my doorstep next was about to be the complete opposite of what I was looking for, and not in a way you'd expect. I woke up the next morning and checked the porch only to see nothing. Shortly after that, I took Apollo out for a little walk, dressed like every Californian dresses when the weather's under 70 degrees. After walking for about a half an hour, I came back and saw the one thing I was hoping not to see. Well, I'm definitely gonna need to change outfits for this. You know that feeling you get when you're a kid and it's Christmas morning? You take a peek at a present and you see a little bit of what's inside, and what you see makes you think you got exactly what you hoped for. This wasn't one of those times.
Yeah. It's like,
Wait,
I
what?
got what I didn't want.
Giant Oreo cookie sounds amazing. I wonder why it asked me for milk or dark chocolate.
Item number 5, a giant chocolate Oreo. An Oreo so big it's about 50 times bigger than a regular Oreo.
Gotta be honest, everyone, I'm a little disappointed. I thought this was gonna be an actual Oreo, but I haven't had quite enough chocolate this week. So why not have some more?
After my hopefully obvious sarcasm, I got the milk ready.
Obviously, that's not gonna work. There's absolutely no purpose to this milk because this is not actually an Oreo cookie, but I don't know, it just looked cool.
Even though the first bite was, well, hard,
What is it then?
I actually thought this tasted pretty good.
Wow. I can't believe I'm doing this, but
To me, this Oreo had a perfect blend of both milk chocolate and white chocolate.
just imagine this is an actual Oreo cookie.
Using some milk I didn't actually need, I got back to work on the rest of the Oreo. Which, as you can see and hear, was about as hard as a rock. Then a random thought occurred to me as I chewed through more of this hard chocolate.
You know, a lot of you watch these challenges worried about my health, but I actually have to let all you know that I'm doing cardio right now. Chewing burns calories.
Only a few minutes later, I was already halfway through the Oreo.
Right, halfway through. This is a lot of chocolate.
And even though I was more chocolated out than I had ever been in my life,
Well, everyone, all I can say is that my blood type is now chocolate. If anyone needs me after this, I'll be in my own self-induced existential sugar crisis somewhere over there. Well, everyone, the giant chocolate Oreo is complete. But seriously though, if anybody needs me,
after the Oreo, I laid on the couch like a beached whale, and after that, I decided to check the porch again.
So if 2 come in a day, you gotta do 2?
Well, it's just after midnight, and as of now, I have officially made it halfway through this challenge. And I would just like to say I'm a very full human being. I also never want to look at another piece of chocolate ever again.
No, he said no to it.
Fragile. I did not order a pizza. Well, on the plus side, at least I know exactly what I'm gonna wear for this.
it's a little small, but oh well.
The next item on my list was a giant Reese's cup.
Fun fact, this is over 100 times bigger than a regular Reese's peanut butter cup. Another fun fact is that I'm going to be 100 times bigger than I was before I started this challenge after I eat this. Does that make sense? Whatever.
Even though I'm a big Reese's guy, I bit into this thinking I'd hate every bite. But after all the chocolate I'd eaten yesterday, the salty peanut butter was actually a pleasant surprise.
This, my friends, is a very tasty peanut butter cup.
Well, I should say it was a pleasant surprise at first.
Is it Reese's or Reese's?
This peanut butter cup is so rich, it could probably buy Twitter.
A lot of people say Reese's.
All right, I need some milk. This is ridiculous. Dude, you gotta be kidding me.
Not having any milk during a challenge like this was like diving into a pool with no water in it.
Remember to stay hydrated, everyone. Also, don't ever do anything like this. If I actually finish the rest of this, I feel like I'll legally become half Reese's.
I finally managed to get to the last quarter of the Reese's, and when I noticed the time was only just after 3, I decided that finishing it off as early as possible was the best thing to do.
Since it's still a little earlier and I desperately need some milk, I'm gonna go run some errands and also try to forget about what I just put into my body.
As I enthusiastically went back to the store, I ran into something I wish I wouldn't have. After that, I got my hands on some fat-free milk. But when I got into my car, reality set in. That's a very unsettling reminder that I should probably stop eating. After filling up my tires, I was looking forward to relaxing for the rest of the night. But unfortunately for me, the day was far from over.
I feel like the people at UPS are probably starting to think I'm crazy. Oh my God.
Item number 7, the world's biggest chocolate truffle.
It's kind of like a coconut. Hopefully this chocolate won't be too hard.
Spoiler alert, my teeth were about to hate me.
That's some bitter chocolate. That's kind of nice.
With a little over 4 hours left to eat 8 pounds of chocolate, I felt like I was walking into a losing battle. But the main thing that was going to be lost here was my dentist's mind if he ever watches this video.
Ow. I don't think I've ever eaten this much. Yeah, I've definitely never eaten this much chocolate in my entire life.
The only strategy I had here was to use as much milk as I needed to get through as much of the truffle as I could.
I feel like my hands look like I've been doing push-ups in mud or something. Curiosity has me and I gotta try this inside. Okay, that's very sweet.
I wasn't really sure how to eat the inside, so I of course did what came naturally.
Gotta do what I gotta do. It tastes like what they put in between a cake.
Each forkful of this ganache literally tasted like I was eating straight cake frosting. But to my surprise, I was able to get to the halfway point.
I've made it through 40 to 50% of this truffle. Flavor fatigue is real right now, and I purposefully did not go for anything salty.
I wanted to hold off on resorting to salt until I took down as much of the truffle as possible. But with a little over 90 minutes left, I finally gave in.
I have no idea what I'm doing anymore.
After making a new hole in my table, I knew that with a little over an hour and a half left, I was going to have to eat fast, which unfortunately was going to be very difficult.
It's like the Death Star of chocolate.
At this point, biting into this truffle was like biting into a frozen brick dipped in cocoa powder.
That's not good.
Cannabis. It's not just legal in 38 states. It's a $36 billion global industry.
Okay, technical difficulties. Alright, that one, I felt was that last one.
As I got more into the truffle, I did my best to think of the positives of this situation.
Oh man. The most difficult part is that the dark chocolate is, there's a nice contrast between the sweetness from the center, but it hurts way more. And I mean that physically and emotionally.
After enduring as much as I could, I decided to shift my focus back to the inside.
I don't care what anybody says. Eating giant food should be an Olympic sport. Like the video if you agree. Well, everybody, I have no idea how much of this truffle I have left. It looks like there's a little bit of ganache, but mostly the shell left. I'm gonna try to come back and give this one heck of a shot.
20 minutes later, I came back to try and finish the rest of the truffle. I decided that I wasn't gonna go down without a fight, so a half hour later, I got back to the table like it.
I got this.
But unfortunately, it was at this moment that I realized.
All right, maybe I don't got this. Well, unfortunately, everyone, it looks like I'm gonna come up just a bit short when it comes to the world's largest handmade truffle. Whatever lands at my doorstep next has to get 4 additional items added to it. I'm gonna be emotionally scarred forever after how much chocolate I've eaten this week.
When I woke up the next morning, I could still taste the sweetness from the day before. After checking the porch, I was very relieved to see nothing there. But with 3 foods and 4 entire days left, I still had to be ready for something to show up at any time. With all the chocolate I'd eaten the night before, I got a whopping 3 hours of sleep. So as far as I was concerned, there was only one place for me to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I've officially made it to day 7. Normally this would be the end of one of my challenges, but since this is the longest challenge I've ever done, I've got 3 more days left. If you guys enjoy these longer challenges, like the video and comment below what you want to see me do next. I'm saying that even though I haven't even made it through this one yet. And the biggest item of the entire challenge still hadn't showed up yet. As I headed back home, I remembered that not only did I have to add 4 random items to whatever showed up next, I remembered what I had to finish. I gotta finish that leftover. This is gonna sound horrible, but I'm so over chocolate right now that I would much rather eat a piece of used gum off the ground than finish this truck. Please just don't be a chocolate bar. Item number 8, the giant 2-foot challah bread. I have no idea what this is gonna taste like. I have no idea how I'm gonna be consuming this, but I do know that I have 4 additional items that I'm gonna have to eat with this, along with Alright, well, I'll check back in with all of you and... Alrighty guys, I'm here in front of the grocery store and now it's time to see what foods I'm gonna have to eat with this massive piece of bread. Why is the first thing something sweet? That is incredibly random. Why is it 2.5? Butter is the last thing I need right now, and why 5 sticks? Oh, shit.
I am not too excited about this.
Having to eat a massive loaf of bread with nothing to drink was a recipe for disaster. A lot was going through my mind at this point, including chugging that champagne behind me. I was genuinely worried about finishing this one because the bagel I ate on day 3 was a perfect example of how filling bread can be and how crucial liquids are. As I gathered the additional ingredients for this meal, I knew this was not going to be pretty.
Yum. This is gonna pair perfectly with my tears later. Man, that is a big piece of bread.
I was actually pretty excited to try challah bread for the first time.
All right, that was pretty tasty.
I wasn't really sure how to eat it, so I sliced a few pieces up and made myself a butter sandwich. Well, a really big butter sandwich.
So far, I'm genuinely enjoying this challah bread.
Not only was the bread good, but since it had been a little over 17 hours since my last meal, my stomach was actually feeling semi-refreshed.
Watching my figure.
But unfortunately for me, that was about to go completely out the window.
Shout out to everybody out there on keto. This next bite's for you. Oh, that was not wise at all.
To everyone that's terrified about what they just saw, you might want to look away at this next part because it's going to get worse.
Right, that was unexpectedly delicious.
What I did next is probably going to make a lot of you cringe. But the last thing I wanted to do was get stuck eating single ingredients by themselves. So in my eyes, I knew exactly what needed to happen.
Tell me when to stop.
No, you're doing it the right way.
Now. Okay, I'll stop.
As I'm sure you can imagine, the first bite of whatever I just made was very confusing to my taste buds. And on top of that, the lack of water was making my mouth very dry. With the hummus and leftover chocolate still left, I knew I was going to have to take a break and figure out a new strategy.
Well, everyone, I've made it through half the bread. Unfortunately, I still have butter, a lot of honey, and all of the hummus still left on top of the chocolate I have to finish. All I want to do is drink something, preferably alcoholic, but I'll save that for another video.
I woke up after a power nap and my mouth felt like it was drier than the Sahara Desert. I thought of possibly trying to eat the chocolate again, but when this happened, I knew the best strategy for me at this point was to rest and get some stomach space back.
Wow, I look absolutely horrible right now. Good thing it's not a beauty competition.
With most of the honey, a stick of butter, the hummus, and half the loaf still left to eat, I went for the thing I was the least excited about first.
So each one of these is 10 ounces, which means I have 20 ounces, which means 20 ounces equals 2.5 cups. That was my math lesson for the video.
If you've never had challah bread before, it has more of a sweet taste.
I don't have high hopes for this.
Which is why I wasn't too excited about this.
That's pretty weird, but I'm gonna keep eating them. Yeah, it's too weird.
After finishing the first container of hummus,
all right, first hummus is down.
I realized I was losing time and stomach space. But then I got one of the most diabolical ideas ever.
DingDingDing.com.
Major times 8! That's like 600 sweepstakes coins.
I had no idea if it was gonna work, but I was gonna try.
All right, step 1 is to take your melted butter and swirl it around like so. Step 2 is to dump an absurdly large amount of honey on top of the butter, like so. Oh my sweet goodness. Literally. Wow. That is something right there. I very well might turn into Winnie the Pooh by the end of this. Step 3 is to put your cinnamon right on top, just like so. I'm sounding like I actually know what I'm doing, but I have no clue if this is actually gonna taste good or not.
Turning the butter into liquid form not only freed up stomach space.
Oh my gosh, this is what dreams are made of.
But incorporating it with the honey was a flavor explosion like no other.
Oh my honey.
Woo! I've eaten a lot of food combinations in my life, but for some reason, this one was everything.
This is, without a doubt, one of the best things I've ever made. What can I say, everyone? Sometimes you gotta think outside the box. And inside the hollow bread.
But unfortunately, as the honey butter ran out,
Sugar crash.
I remembered I still had hummus to eat.
Gotta do what I gotta do.
Fortunately, I was able to finish the hummus, but unfortunately, I was nearing my capacity.
18 grams of fiber in this entire thing. At least I'm doing something right. Well, everyone, I only have literally like 10% of this bread left. Along with that stupid chocolate from last night.
At this point, I had enough bread in me to trigger every gluten allergy within a 5-mile radius, but I was almost done.
I just want something to drink. Ugh.
Using the last of the honey butter combo, I was able to make it to the last few bites.
Someone the other day asked me if I'd ever give up carbs, and you know what I said? Over my bread body.
Fortunately, I was able to finish the last of the challah bread, but with the leftover truffle still remaining, the day wasn't quite over just yet.
That was a lot of challah bread, but unfortunately, I still have something left for the day. And it's in that white box.
It's hard for me to put into words how full I was at this point. On top of that, I was so thirsty, but drinking anything would just make me fuller.
Finishing this is gonna be impossible.
I paced back and forth for the next few minutes trying to gather the courage to eat this truffle, which was about as appealing as biting into a jawbreaker. Finally, with less than 20 minutes left, I knew I had to make something happen.
This chocolate is so, like, not what I want right now.
With 10 minutes left, eating this chocolate felt like I was performing dental surgery on myself.
I wish this was a vegetable.
And to make matters worse, flavor fatigue was hitting like crazy. But after looking at the clock and seeing I only had a few minutes left, I decided to try the one thing that I hadn't tried at all. I thought chopping up the chocolate into smaller pieces would make things easier, but unfortunately, it made no difference. In fact, it actually made things worse. And just as I was about to throw in the towel, I remember the famous quote, "Pain is temporary and glory is forever," or something like that. With only a handful of chocolate left, I used the milk to get through each bite and finished day 7 in a nail-biting ending.
Holy crap, I can't believe that just happened. Oh my goodness. I never want to look at chocolate ever again.
Later that night, I got a text from Harry. I'd eaten some pretty good food in this challenge along with some not so good foods. But still, I wasn't confident enough in saying I'd found the right one. So I just said the first thing that came to mind. But with 2 foods left, maybe I would find the winner. After all, the biggest item of the entire challenge had yet to arrive. With only 2 items left and 3 days to finish them, I woke up on day number 8 confident I was going to be able to make it through this challenge.
Thank God. I need
coffee. I went into this day thinking the worst was behind me, but I couldn't have been any more mistaken. Hey, what's up?
Babe, what did you order? This package is huge. I tried picking it up, but it was way too heavy. It can't be food, right?
It was in this moment I knew exactly what was waiting for me.
Babe, step away from the package slowly. It's more dangerous than it looks!
Item number 9, the world's biggest gummy bear. 4,000 times bigger than a regular gummy bear.
I feel like I should say something very clever and witty, but I can't find the words right now.
Believe it or not, this is the second time I've ever done a gummy food challenge.
Okay, a gummy bear doesn't actually taste that bad.
Unfortunately, the first time didn't go so well.
Definitely in my top 5 worst challenges ever.
Oh. Fortunately for me, this massive gummy bear was actually much softer than I thought it would be.
First ear's down. Come on, bro. Help me out here. Jeez. You're acting like the intoxicated friend at a college party.
After a few more bites of the bear, I finally saw what he looked like without ears. It was hilarious. On a separate note, I went into this with no strategy, and unfortunately, I was about to pay the price for it.
I have no idea why any human being would want to order something like this. I've decided the gummy bear's name is Stan. Yeah, me too, Stan. Me too.
After trying to think of something for a good 30 seconds, I realized that finishing this was going to be much harder than I thought.
I'm curious to see how much I ate. I'm gonna need something a little bit more heavier duty.
Unfortunately, due to the sheer size of this gummy bear, I had no idea you couldn't actually see the weight on the scale, so you'll just have to take my word for it.
Damn, I have 23 pounds left.
While I wasn't all that full, and even though the gummy was softer than a regular gummy, it felt like I'd pulled a muscle in my face. When I woke up from a power nap and realized how much of this gummy bear I was gonna have to finish, I debated on throwing in the towel early. But I'm glad that I didn't, because when I did eventually make my way back to the table, I remembered what I used back in 2018 when I did my first gummy challenge. For the second time in this challenge, warm water was coming to the rescue. Or so I hoped. After only a few more bites, I felt like I was sinking into quicksand, if it was made of gummy.
All right, I gotta see where we're at. 19.6. I got a little bit more in me.
I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret. I really didn't have a little more in me.
Okay, I think I'm gonna call it a night.
It was practically impossible for me to sleep that night, and not for the reason you may think. It was the fact that I couldn't remember the password to my email. All I wanted was the tracking number for that 10th item. Maybe it was the sugar coursing through my veins, but it hit me.
What's up, you guys? I just got vegetable, fruits, these 2 briskets, all paid for with this card right here.
After remembering my genius password, I was able to locate the tracking number for the 10th item, which showed that it was going to arrive on day 10. Knowing that, it was time for me to get the gummy bear down as fast as possible. The next day I woke up knowing my mission for the day was to finish the gummy bear by any means necessary. But with how sore my jaw was after yesterday, I was going to need to think of some kind of strategy. But my main concern was the blistering headache I had when I woke up, so I decided to head to the store to get some relief. And I'm really glad I did, because when I spotted this, I got an idea that I hoped was going to help me out.
All right, everybody, so I am ready to take on the rest of this gummy bear. And if you're wondering why I have all these Pringles flavors, I did something I've never done before in my last challenge. I did my first tier list. And since a lot of you loved it, I'm gonna do another one.
A tier list is a visual ranking system that categorizes items from best to worst. S being the best, A being the second best, and so on.
All right, here we go.
With 19 pounds of gummy bear left for me to eat, I started off this meal not feeling the most confident, until I had my first Pringle flavor.
Everything bagel. B tier, good, but it doesn't really give me everything bagel vibes.
Most people think that getting through eating challenges that span over multiple days comes down to having a big appetite, but it's actually not just that.
Chili cheese fries flavor. A tier.
The mind is just as important as appetite when it comes down to these challenges. And even though it may sound silly, these new Pringles flavors were basically little power-ups for me as I try to get through this massive gummy bear.
I know a lot of you are gonna be wondering why the belly is hollowed out, and it's actually because I'm pretty sure this gummy bear is supposed to be like a punch gummy bear. One person who definitely will not have a hollowed out stomach is me. Carnita's taco. C tier.
As I got back to work on the gummy bear, my jaw muscles started to tire out again, which was not good considering I was chasing this gummy bear with warm water. It was at this point that I started to realize the likelihood of me eating this entire gummy bear was looking less and less promising.
My goodness, my jaw literally feels like it's about to detach from my head.
And when I saw how much I had left,
oh dude, 12 and a half pounds left.
I knew I had to come up with something.
Philly cheesesteak flavor. I would much rather be eating a Philly cheesesteak right now, not gonna lie. Oh, C tier.
After giving this gummy bear one last ditch effort,
all dressed Pringles. We found our S tier item.
I decided that both my jaw,
it basically feels like I've been chewing on a rubber tire,
and my stomach had had enough.
I have roughly 12 pounds of this gummy bear left, which means I've made it through over half. Unfortunately though, I can't actually physically eat this anymore. So I'm gonna have to figure out a strategy here.
My main priority was fixing the gastrointestinal nightmare going on in my colon first. So I headed to Walmart for some Tums. Once that was done, I finally came to the realization that there was just no way I was gonna be able to eat the rest of this gummy bear. But then it hit me, I didn't have to eat it. I finally had a plan, but I had to be sure it was gonna work. I was taking a huge risk by potentially making the gummy inedible, because ruining it meant not finishing it, and not finishing it meant this entire challenge was failed. The test batch was a success, sort of. But would the giant gummy bear be the same? I was about to find out. As I watched the gummy in the microwave, I began to worry that maybe the gummy bear wasn't meant to melt.
Okay, maybe I just have to put it in for longer.
That's what she said.
I put it in for the second time, and after taking it out, I started to see exactly what I wanted.
Progress.
After microwaving Stan for what felt like 10 years, the diabolical idea that came to me in the appliance section of a Walmart had finally come to fruition.
This does not look pretty at all. In fact, I can't even use the word pretty in this in the same sentence. This looks absolutely hideous.
I've subjected my stomach to a lot over the last decade, but this
Yum.
is probably one of the worst things. But surprisingly, my plan was working much better than I expected.
I feel like I have more Red 40 in me than a Kool-Aid factory right now. I would say I've made it through about 50% of the, whatever this is.
I brought out some salty pretzels just in case I needed them, and for a split second, I felt like I was having an on-camera life-changing experience.
Give me a moment.
Finally, I saw a light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm so close.
The bottom of the bowl was in sight.
I probably look absolutely, yeah, I don't even want to look at myself right now.
At this point, I had a little bit over 2 hours left until midnight. And even though it was my goal to finish this gummy bear as soon as possible, my stomach was a wreck.
My bloodstream probably looks like a fruit punch fountain right now. That actually made no sense because my bloodstream always looks like that.
So with only a few bites left of this gummy concoction, I knew what my next move needed to be.
Everyone, in a surprising twist of events, I have managed to successfully finish 90% of the gummy bear. Unfortunately, there is no way that I'm going to be able to finish the rest of that. I feel like right now I just need to try to forget what I just put into my body.
I woke up on day 10 happy this challenge was finally coming to a close. I checked my porch, and when I didn't see anything, I decided the best move was to get ahead. Since I had to eat 4 additional foods with the final item whenever it did show up, I wanted to know what those things were as soon as possible.
About to eat the world's biggest. What should go with it? If I have to eat something with gummy bears in it, I swear I'm so ready for this challenge to be over.
Biting into this gummy bear was like tasting victory, but knowing it's made entirely of corn syrup.
If you guys have made it this far in the video, just comment gummy down below.
And even though it took almost 3 days,
because I literally feel like I'm part gummy right now.
And a lot of stupidity on my part.
Almost there. Almost there.
I gotta say, it felt pretty cool knowing I just consumed the world's biggest gummy bear.
The gummy bear is complete. I don't know what's going on, but the 10th item was supposed to be here and it's not here yet. The only thing I don't know is what time it's gonna be here, but what I do know is that it's gonna be here today at some point. The other thing I know is that I have 4 items that I'm going to have to be eating with that final thing. So I'm going to stay 1 step ahead and find out what those items are and prepare, because you got to stay 1 step ahead or 2 steps. Okay, that actually sounds pretty delicious right now, and it actually fits very well with what's coming. Okay, another thing that is actually pretty fitting. 6.5? Like, I don't understand, why are people so weird with numbers? Dude, are you...
After reluctantly grabbing the Nutella, I shopped for the rest of the ingredients. As I walked up and down the aisles of my local Walmart, I had no idea if I was actually going to survive the ending to this challenge. Just in case I didn't, I made sure to get a second overly cinematic apron shot. After that, I started cooking the one dish meant to go with my final meal. After making the eggs and rice, I looked over at things and actually felt pretty impressed with my cooking skills for once. But there was one question on my mind. Where was the last item? Since it showed it was supposed to be here within the time frame, I went back to cooking. After prepping my 6.5 bagel bites, along with my pound of fried rice, I had my 4 additional items ready to go. Little did I know, I was about to get some very unfortunate news.
Wow, that actually looks pretty... Everyone, a few minutes ago, I got some very unfortunate news, and long story short is I will not be getting the 10th item tonight. I just needed 1 more food.
To come all this way only to fall short by just 1 item was incredibly disappointing. I was about to fail my longest challenge ever just because the delivery date was postponed. I don't know whether it was the 6.5 bagel bites on my table communicating with me telepathically, or if I just thought of it out of frustration. But a few seconds later, I got an idea that made me realize ending this challenge on a high note was possible after all.
Giant foods near me.
Getting it.
I feel like a pizza joke is appropriate right now, but I just can't think of anything.
No offense or anything, but after all this, it'll probably be a while before I let my followers choose what I eat again, for obvious reasons.
Ugh.
And even though it wasn't something I technically ordered online, I gotta say, living in America really is pretty great, because when it comes to finding giant foods, you won't really have to look too far.
Well, everyone, what can I say? Sometimes things just have a way of working out.
But even though I was able to finish this 10-day challenge on somewhat of a high note, I still needed a challenge for my friend Harry. As the clock struck midnight and the challenge officially ended, I thought about the pretty good and not so pretty good foods I'd eaten over the last few days. But honestly, I wasn't very confident about finding a meal for Harry. But the funny thing about life is that sometimes the answers you're looking for can sometimes be found in the places you least expect them. And by places you least expect them, what I really mean is inside of giant fortune cookies.
I got it.
There he is. What's up, dude?
What's up, dude? What's going on, man?
I got a surprise for you.
All right, are your eyes closed?
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna tell you when to open them. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, mate. I didn't tell you. I'm vegan.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification bell to never miss a stream. I love y'all so much. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one, man. Let's do it.